Welcome to the Discover podcast, where we view faith as a discovery journey with Jesus to help you become the person God created you to be. Hey everybody, welcome back to this episode of the Discover podcast. If you follow along, you will have noticed over the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
7.
It's felt long. It's felt like a long time.
Yes, I have not been here. I've been working through some personal issues. Just kidding. Just kidding. I was traveling 1 week. I was on spring break with my family for a couple days, and now I'm back.
And then due to all the complaints from the last couple of weeks, you decided you would enter back in.
Yeah, our viewership went pew. No, just kidding. People probably were like, oh, this is refreshing. The bald guy's not there. The marvelous bald one. That's a shout out to Lindsay. Anyway, welcome back.
My new nickname is the Baby Whisperer.
Where'd you get that nickname?
When you always try to take babies at the baby dedication.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he could be called the Baby Whisperer.
Oh, you're talking about for me?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I don't get that nickname. They don't
I
give
was trying to
nicknames
figure
me.
out how that came from Little Man.
Yeah. I'm just the little one.
That's funny.
Oh.
I don't know. Babies, it's always hit or miss with baby dedication. Sometimes it's more like they'll just come to me and they're like, this guy is weird.
Yeah, I can
No
see
thanks.
the sadness in your heart when they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it's good to be back. We're glad that you're back with us. And where we've been over the last couple of weeks is we've been talking about the scriptures. We're wrapping up. We've kind of wrapped up our God's Big Story Bible reading plan that took us 13 weeks, kind of through the whole Bible, not looking at every passage in the Bible, but giving us an overarching view of the big picture view of the storyline of the scriptures. And we know that a lot of you engaged with that. We got lots of questions and a lot of good engagement with that as we navigated through it. And so we have kind of now reached that point where we're going to be shifting over the next 3 episodes to talk about another Bible reading plan that's coming up. It's not launching right now, but when is it going to launch?
Early June.
Early June. And it's going to be around the idea of formation. And so over the last couple of weeks, we've really been talking about the Bible and digging into the Bible. And you had or is it done, or is this week your last week?
It's done, yeah.
It's done. You're reading for formation.
Yeah.
And so we thought it would be good to have another kind of Bible reading plan and conversation around this idea specifically of formation. And so over the next couple of weeks, we're going to highlight some practices that are going to be highlighted in this Bible reading plan, specifically around formation. And so what are those that the Bible reading plan is going to address?
Yeah, so we're calling it the Summer of Formation. So it's taking 4 different areas of spiritual formation or spiritual practices or spiritual disciplines. There's a lot of different names people give them.
Yes.
And the first is going to be prayer.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll talk about a little bit today, even this idea of prayer. The second will be the scriptures, like how do we engage God's word? Really, even in these weeks, trying to give different ways to do it. So I wouldn't even straight up say it's a Bible reading plan as much as a way to engage these formational acts in different ways than you normally would.
We will use the Bible.
We will use the Bible. We love the Bible. We're just like, it wasn't like a big bait and switch for the last 13 weeks. We actually do love the Bible. Then the third one is what you would call like these relinquishing acts of formation, like giving stuff up to engage the Lord deeper. And so in that one, we'll talk about silence and solitude, fasting, and Sabbath, like these historic practices of the church. And then the last one will be the more outward focus, like kind of the outreach, the reaching out to others, formational practices that we believe you're not just formed by what happens internally, but by being a part of God's movement and work in the world around us.
Yeah. So those 4 categories, again, prayer, scriptures, relinquishing, and maybe service, you could say, or outreach. And so
We need to figure out better alliteration. Sorry, cut you off.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't good Baptists, but we're not.
So we've been talking a lot about the scriptures over the last, 7 weeks or so. So for these next 3 weeks, we're going to move into these other 3 practices: prayer, relinquishing, service/outreach. And so I think it's good, before we jump into prayer, which we're talking about today, is to talk about the idea of formation in general, and specifically what formation is. Like, how would we describe, define, talk about what formation is? I remember when I was coming out of seminary, this would have been like 20 years ago, spiritual formation was a bit of a buzzword in the church. and people were hiring spiritual formation pastors, right? So it was this idea like we want to really form our people, which I don't think was a bad thing. I think it was actually a really good thing. I think sometimes spiritual formation can be misunderstood because it's just not vernacular that we use on a daily basis. So let's talk real briefly about what formation is, and not so much from a spiritual standpoint, but just what formation is in general. How would you guys define formation?
I'll let you go.
I've got a really good-
just led a class on this. I'm
Yeah,
gonna let you
I've
go
got a
first.
really good definition that we're going to share in a minute, but I want to get your take on it first.
So my mind, for some reason, immediately went to Legos.
Well, it wasn't a
course
Jewish
it did.
rabbi. So.
It wasn't, no. But like, you know, we can form Legos into whatever we want, but whenever we are being formed by something, we're following instructions or patterns.
It's actually pretty good.
Then we can create something
way
with.
back.
That was where my mind went. So you can form whatever you want. It's like reading the Bible. You can get whatever you want out of it.
Yeah.
But if you are following a structure or a pattern, then you
Yeah.
might actually get what the authors intended out of it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have a definition?
I don't have a kid's toy that I'm going to bring into it, but
Come
I
on,
think of
Plato,
like,
you got it.
I think being like made into the image of something. This is what's going to be, because my head is in the spiritual sense of it. But if you're formed, like I think of even an athlete, like if you get like a not great athlete and you're coaching them, you're trying to form them into this different athlete. And that's different. And I think one of the things I loved about your class was you talked about the difference between information and formation.
Yeah.
Like I could give that athlete all the information of what they need to do, but that doesn't guarantee there's going to be any sort of formation in how they change. Because you can do what you want with information. Formation is almost this like, I'm going to take it and I'm going to practice it and I'm going to let it like sink in and it is going to change me. And so I think with the athletes, the ones that I've loved to coach is like, you give them something and then they work at it.
Yeah.
And they all of a sudden are a different player than they were before. That to me is what formation is.
Yeah, that's good. Those are two really good examples and definitions.
Did you like one better?
Well, we'll say yours was a little bit more creative. Yours was a little bit more practical.
Enneagram 4, Enneagram 8.
Thank you.
The definition that I came up with is simply the process by which your thinking, feeling, and acting in the world is developed. So that means formation is not just a spiritual activity. So like in the world of athletics, you're trying to form athletes in a certain way, specifically depending on their sport. Like you're going to form a swimmer differently than you're going to form a baseball player, right? So, but within the sense of like people in general and how we exist in the world, we are all being formed to think, feel, and act in a certain way in the world. And so that means there's a lot of places in our world where we are formed that aren't necessarily spiritual in nature. And so that means formation isn't just a spiritual thing. And I thought it'd be interesting just to like highlight a few other places in our world where we are formed to think, feel, and act in a certain way.
Ooh.
So are there any that come to mind for you guys right away?
I mean, okay, I love that you're going into this, like the Dallas Willard, we're all being discipled towards something.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's helpful to highlight too. The way we think about spiritual formation and discipleship are almost simultaneous.
Yeah, exactly. We're all being formed in something. Yeah. And so like immediately I'm coming to like society and news and all those things where it's like whatever news platform you use will form your thinking in whatever way that they want you to be formed.
Right.
And
the classic dichotomy in our culture is Fox versus CNN.
yeah, right. Yeah. And like I don't think you get a full picture with either of those. And all that, but we are all being formed towards something and for something.
Yeah. So one of the things I put on my list was politics. Like they both have very strong political leanings, and depending on which one you listen to or watch or consume, you will probably be formed to agree or align with that platform. Yeah.
And I think you can see how much those are forming you by how you respond to the other side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if you're being primarily formed by your news intake, your political, which they're like intertwined now, or the podcasts you listen to, whatever that is, when you hear something from the other side, like if you are immediately angry or you're immediately like they're dumb, like that is forming you more.
Yeah.
as we jump into spiritual things, that's forming you more than Jesus at that point.
Right.
Because the Jesus who tells you to love your enemies, and to like Paul who tells you to consider others as more significant than yourselves, that's obviously not what's happening in your heart, or to be at peace. Instead, you're in fear. Like, so I think we can even see how they form us by all these things that are happening in us.
So, go ahead.
I love seeing people's reactions when you tell them that Billy Graham was a proud Democrat, because it's like he didn't care about politics the way that most people do today, but he was very proud of his political stance. And that's come to mean different things today than it did then, but even so.
So news, politics is one area we can be formed. Do you have another one in mind?
Oh, I mean, I think I'm in this state of having kids. Like my kids' lives form me right now, because if you think, because I think of your definition, it's like how you live and act and think in the world. So much of my life right now feels like it's around the things that they do. That is forming me. I wake up thinking, what do I have to do for my kids today? Like, what do they need to do today? I don't think we understand how that disciples us, and the cultural expectations of what your kids should have, what they should be given, opportunity they should have. Like, that just forms you in a certain way.
So the other one I put on my list was also family. So not just how your family in real time is forming you as a parent, but as you think about the family you grew up in, also shapes your view of family. So if somebody grew up in a broken home, a very dysfunctional home, and they saw a mom and a dad who continually fight, they're going to think to themselves possibly, I don't know if I want to be married, because it just creates dysfunction. So that's the way I view, think, and feel and act in the world around this concept of family. So we could go on all sorts of different trains to talk about all these different areas that were formed. But I think I wanted to highlight the idea that formation, again, is not just a spiritual activity, it's a human activity. We are all being formed in some way. We are all being shaped in some way, because we're all giving ourselves to something. So even the idea of work, like if somebody is a workaholic, like they're going to be formed by their work in a way that affects how they view everything else in the world, right? And so, because we're all giving ourselves to something. So it's helpful to just keep that in mind when we're talking about spiritual formation. It isn't just a spiritual reality, it's a human reality.
Well, and I think one of the ones, as you were even talking, that stuck out to me would be like entertainment. Because that's going to form me in a way, like if the entertainment I consume has like a lot of sexuality in it, like I'm going to be formed to be desensitized to that over time. Like you're just like, oh, I didn't even notice it. Same thing with language. You're all of a sudden like, you don't even notice the different language that's being used. I think that shows how you're being formed, where like if you were just to not be someone who partakes in that type of entertainment or whatever it may be, when you jump into it, you're like, whoa, this is this kind of throws me off. But when you're formed by it, it doesn't even throw you off anymore.
Yes. So I think then that raises another question, like how does formation happen? Right? If we're all being formed by something, how does it happen? And I think there are just to simplify, two simple things that we're all engaging in some way is your environment and practices. So the environment you put yourself in and the practices in which you engage, no matter what it is, no matter what context it is, will form your view of the world and how you interact with the world. And so for a spiritual context, we would hope that when we gather on Sundays, when we gather midweek, when we gather in our neighborhood communities, like those are the environments we're putting ourselves in to shape and form us, and we're engaging in certain practices in those environments that will hopefully over time shape our view of the world to be more discipled by Scripture in the way of Jesus rather than the culture around us. Anything else you guys would add to that?
My brain just keeps on going to, the square watermelons that they have in Japan? Like, the container you're in is what shapes you. And when you don't have a container, you're still being shaped. Or when you don't choose a container, you're still being shaped.
I was thinking of environment. I think you shared a lot about like the gym you go to. Like your workouts would look way different at a different gym or at no gym. And I think just like you've been formed, your body has probably been formed by it, but your mind and just even how you engage working out. And I think that's an example on like the non quote unquote spiritual side of things. What does it look like for that to be true on a spiritual side as well.
Yep.
I remember someone asking us, came up to me when we were doing the Bible reading plan, like just when we were launching, and they asked, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I was at first I was taken back by the question. I was like, should we not be in your mind? And it was simply like, I just gave the answer. I said, because we get you, quote unquote, for a week, for an hour and a half on a Sunday morning, and then maybe for another hour and a half during the week.
Yeah.
And we want to do what we can to help you through the rest of that time be formed into the image of Jesus.
Yep.
And I think that is this, we can't keep the Sunday morning environment.
Right.
We have some things we'll do during the week, but we can help with practices.
Yeah.
The second of those.
Yeah. So for the people of our church, you're right. At best, maybe they'll engage 3 hours a week at our gatherings or events. How many, do you guys know offhand how many hours in a week there are? Can you do the quick math on that? I'm not smart enough to do that.
24 times 7, that's
Is-
at least 5.
Yeah, at least.
I'm not good at math.
We're gonna do
Yeah.
this is embarrassing.
Somebody listening has already done that in their head.
It's
So in
like
1 week, there's
170.
168 hours.
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
But we can subtract the ones we're sleeping.
Depending on how much you sleep. But the point being, we have somebody maybe for 3 hours a week. And so, yeah, what we want to do is continue to help people and equip people to be shaping and engaging in their formation in those 165 other hours through the week. Did you see that?
You subtracted 3 really well.
That was so good.
And so what we're offering up with these practices, one, we've been talking a lot about scripture, but now going to prayer, this idea of relinquishing and then serving, those are things that you can always be doing on your own, and you can always be doing in the context of community. But as you are intentional, because I think it's helpful to say that formation is always going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like formation is always happening. But if you want to be formed in a certain way, it takes intention.
Yeah.
Like you're not just like, again, going back to the athletics analogy, because oftentimes in formation, athletics is often paired because it takes a lot of intention, discipline, and effort to say, I want to be really good at baseball, or I want to be really, I mean, music is the same way too. Like if you want to be really proficient in an instrument, like you have to be disciplined, you have to be intentional, you have to show up, you have to do the whatever drills, rehearsal, practice in order to become that person.
Yeah.
The same is true in your spiritual life as well. You're not just going to accidentally become more like Jesus. So with that in mind, we want to give people practices that they can keep engaging in on their own to become that person. So with that in mind, today we're going to talk a little bit about prayer, and we're just going to scratch the surface on prayer. You could talk for hours and hours and hours, days and days and days.
For the people who are worried about how much time this has already been.
Yeah. Yes. So let's talk about why prayer is a crucial practice within the scope of formation. Let's start there. Why is prayer important? Why would we say that's up there on spiritual disciplines, spiritual formation?
I mean, God longs for relationship. Prayer is talking with God, or it's supposed to be a conversation with God. I think most of the time it's a conversation at God.
Yeah,
in
talking to God.
At least evangelicalism, but it is supposed to be a conversation with God, listening to us.
Yep.
I mean, first Jesus did it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
What a guy.
If there was a guy who didn't seem to need to do it, if prayer is talking with God and you are God and part of the Godhead, but he modeled that it was important.
Yeah.
And all through scriptures, it's important. Prayer is a very early practice, and it is continued the entire way through. Some of the other practices we're going to talk about maybe don't get practiced the same way all the time, or you look at it in the New Testament and it seems like it's shifted. Prayer just constantly happens.
Yeah.
And it is at the bedrock. It is an expectation.
Yeah.
I think you look at the early church, I think they would be shocked if they found out like prayer was something that you're like, oh, I guess we should do this. They're like, no, this is something we just do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so saturated in all of the scriptures, Old, New Testament. It's just there all the time. And the fact that Jesus regularly gets alone to pray is significant. Yeah. So, but I think if you were to ask people, your general churchgoer, what's the most challenging spiritual formation activity it would be prayer. And why then is prayer so challenging?
Because you got to do it. Yeah, I think a lot of the time we think of the people who are good at praying, and like that's intimidating. And we say good at praying, but like I don't know. I think a lot of the time when I was growing up, I was thinking of the people that had the really long prayers, and like now I really hate long prayers, because it feels a lot more like it's talking at God. Not that it always is, but if I'm ever doing a long prayer, that's what it is. And instead of just being present with God and those around. And like, I think that there's a lot of scary prayers that we try to be like. And
So some people perform in prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer can be performative for some people, and somebody who is either new to the faith or uncomfortable with speaking in front of, whether it be a large group or a small group of people, can just feel very insecure about like, oh, I've got to be eloquent and be masterful with my words and be passionate and be emotional, and that's just not me, so that just seems really intimidating. So when that's your vision of what prayer is, it could be like, oh, I can't do that.
yeah.
Why else would we think, do people say that prayer is challenging?
Well, I mean, we get distracted really easy. And so I think when you're praying, it's so easy for your mind to wander to the other things, which then heaps guilt on us because we think, wow, that's bad. I just got distracted when trying to talk to the God of the universe.
Right.
There's something wrong with me.
My phone vibrated and lit up, and I was like, oh, the Brewers score from last night or whatever.
Or why am I thinking about grocery shopping right now? Or that slight from earlier in the day, or whatever the case may be, we get distracted. I think there's something like, we say that it's talking with God, and I think that's a great, but we don't do it like we normally talk to people. And so there's something like unique about that too. Like I even think of like corporate prayer. How often are we having a conversation with somebody and saying, everybody else just listen on in. Listen on in to what can be a very intimate conversation. You're all around, because there is something different about talking to God. And there is something different about the fact that in scripture, it is a corporate act. Right. I don't know if we just have a great model for it either. So I think there's these multiple things. We get distracted. We feel guilty. It can become performative, but we also don't always have it modeled in a way that makes it accessible for people.
I think one of the other challenges is just the straightforward, like there's no physical person that you're looking at, talking to and hearing audibly from them, that just like makes it seem, am I talking to the wall? Am I talking to a void? Am I, God, are you listening? And so that's one of the straight up challenges of just like, it's just a different sort of interaction than what we experience on a day-to-day basis, talking to a tangible physical person. So with that in mind, I think like, what I want to just offer up today is like, how can we continually encourage people to engage in prayer as a formation activity, even when it feels clunky, hard, or challenging?
I mean, prayer is one of those things that the more you do it, the better you are at it. And I think that it doesn't have to be complicated. Like my most consistent prayer is a loose rendition of Psalm 16:2 of "My God, you are my good." And like centering prayer is one of my favorite practices. It's a good one, a challenging one. And in it, you're supposed to have a centering phrase whenever you do get distracted, because that happens. And that's what I keep going back to in that even. And I think just doing it is good, but challenging.
Again, like with anything that you're trying to grow in or get more proficient at, the discipline of that activity is going to be important. And so also being able to view prayer as a way that, again, you don't have to perform, but it's more so learning how to be present with God. So that means even in prayer, sometimes you don't have to say anything. Like it's just being present. It's just being still. It's just embracing the silence and saying, God, I'm here. I'm acknowledging that you're with me, and I'm just here. And it's like, if you can sit in 5 minutes of that, like, and not say anything, but be present to God, like that would be prayer. Like that also. So it's expanding our vision of prayer to say, it's not just me like bringing these requests to God, but it's learning how to be present with God. It's also being able to say, like, I'm just going to meditate on a psalm, maybe, like, and just spend a few minutes like meditating over this psalm and say, this is prayer. Reading this psalm is prayer to God, or reading scripture in general can also be prayer to God. And then there is like the request part of it. It's okay to say like, Lord, like I'm struggling with this, and will you help me with this? Because Jesus says, you know, our Father gives good gifts.
Yeah.
And he's a good father. And as a good dad cares about any area of their kid's life, you know, Jesus cares about what's happening in our life and what's causing us anxiety and stress and being overwhelmed. So, I wonder if we could each highlight, you know, you kind of shared a little bit about yours, but like, what is one way right now that you are engaging in prayer, and maybe how that's been different from other seasons? So what we're doing then is capturing two different ways that we sometimes pray, that maybe right now I'm doing this, but in other seasons I've done this. Also to highlight that it's okay to mix it up with prayer and try different things and not feel like I have to pray in a certain way. So you said you have this centering prayer from Psalm 16:2. What are other ways that you have engaged in the practice of prayer, whether now and or in seasons past?
Yeah. Okay, I think the best piece of advice I was ever given when it comes to prayer was from an elder at a church I interned at in northern Kansas. We were sitting at a Dairy Queen, and he said, you know, I think the most powerful prayer that you can ever pray is a 4-letter one. And then he clarified very quickly after, help, you know?
Yeah.
And like just being like, God, I can't do this. Help me to rely on you. Like that is such an important thing. And like, I try to be a very self-sufficient person, and I fail at it a lot. And so being reminded that I can just say help is huge.
That's good. What about for you?
Yeah, I would say there's probably 4 things I cycle through, and I'm doing 2 of the 4 usually in a season of my life. So one is journaling because I'm easily distracted, and if I have a pen in my hand, it helps me.
Yep.
2 is praying through the Psalms. Like I just love like reading a psalm and just like letting the Lord bring something out and then responding to him. So sometimes it's just praising who he is. Sometimes it is like, God, help me. This is what I'm going through. I actually relate to David in this season. The third one would be I've actually kind of taken like the Anglican prayer guides. Like if there's these different like ways that just walk you through prayer. And in season of my life, I just needed someone else to give me the words to say.
Yeah.
So when I was ordained a few weeks back, or a month, it's been a while now, right? But one of the gifts given to me was a prayer guide. And so I took it back out. It's a physical like book, and I can just go through it. And so I think like those are 3. And then the other one would be prayer walking. Because there are just seasons of my life where and this is where I think formation is important because it's embodied. We are entering into it with our whole being. Something about like kneeling or walking or whatever in prayer can actually be really helpful to us.
Posture yourself in a certain
in a
way,
different posture. So at first I thought kneeling was the way you had to go because of my upbringing. And I actually do think there's something really sweet about that, like starting the day just in kneeling in prayer. Like for me, walking just helps. I think those are 4 that I'm usually practicing 2 of those 4.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else for you that's come to mind about how you engage in the practice of prayer?
Yeah, I feel like I need to become more spiritual. About a year ago, Justin Serrar had recommended to me, and like this was a good practice for a season. I struggled to do it more, but like just in the car, you know, like envisioning that in the passenger seat, it's Jesus, and like being okay with whatever form Jesus looks like in that moment, and just talking as if it is a friend. And like that was a really helpful thing for a season. It became something that was harder for me to do after a period of time, but yeah,
I would say all the things that you guys mentioned are areas and ways that I have engaged in prayer. Right now, one of the things that is helpful for me is, so like my commute from my house to here is maybe like 5 or 6 minutes, right? It's not long. And I'm one who's always like quick to put on a song or Spotify or an audio book. And so I think just creating that silence in the car and it gives me a bound time. Like it gives me this like bound. It's like only 5-6 minutes, and that way I don't feel this pressure of like, oh, how long am I supposed to do this for? But it's practicing God's presence in the middle of my day, driving to or from a place where I'm going, oftentimes from home to here to home, and it's just a way to be present to the Lord. One of the other things that I've done in the past is taking the Lord's Prayer from the Sermon on the Mount, and not just reciting it rotely, although I don't think it's bad to recite the Lord's Prayer as a posture or act of prayer, but to go line by line and just like write it out, and then just spend a few minutes like praying around, hallowed be your name. Like, so what does it mean to hallow God's name and to honor his name and to glorify his name, and just to write some of those things out, right? When it talks about, give me this day my daily bread, in that part of the prayer, to say, Lord, where have you provided for me yesterday? Where do I feel like I need provision today? And just by going line by line through that prayer, taking a few minutes is a great way to practice. And there's lots of prayers in the scriptures that you can do that with. Paul has all these great prayers in his letters. So to take one of those and just go phrase by phrase or line by line, or just like pray it and then try and like say, how does this prayer capture how I'm feeling? That's another thing that I've done in different seasons.
Other ones like would include like the daily examine, where you like are just reflecting with God, often on your past day or the day you just had. I often do it in the morning if I am going to do it, and it's like where some of the questions that they change on different versions of the examine, but like, where was I furthest from you, God? Where did I feel closest to you, God? And it is a great way to think through the day you just had, to see where God is at work. I think I've actually loved how the examine like connects to Kairos moments, what we've talked about a lot before, because it helps me see that God is always moving, God's always at work, and often how I need to respond in these situations, because life was just too fast in those moments that I didn't slow down. So I think that can also be a really sweet practice. Fixed time prayer, which is maybe similar to what you're doing in your car, but knowing that I have these times of the day that I'm going to pray. And I think the weird one is we pray in the morning, we pray at night, and then we don't usually pray a lot in the 12 hours that exist, where all of like the temptation and frustration and even apathy of life build up. Like, what if we just started, and this is what I challenge myself, over Lent, I put in my calendar to pray at like 11:15 every day. And did I do it every day? No, I ignored that calendar reminder some days, but other days, like, yes, I need to pray right now. Like, I just need to have this as a rhythm. So those are other things I've seen people do that I'm like, oh, you can't do them all. That's the other thing. We're giving you a bunch of stuff, but it's not like, oh, and now try everything. It's like, in my season, like I said, I try to rotate between a group of things, because I don't want to make it like where I'm just going through motions.
It's huge. Yeah.
And so I think it's helpful to say this isn't intended to be a place of performance. It's not a place of trying to earn anything with the Lord. It's not something that like, oh, I missed this moment or I didn't do that, and so we make ourselves feel bad about it. It's like, hey, I'm going to try again. Tomorrow's a new day, and I just want to be intentional about becoming the person that God has created me to be, and this is one simple way. So over the next couple of episodes, we are going to keep talking about this, keep talking about formation, and be on the lookout as we head into the summer months for this summer formation reading plan that will be very helpful in engaging you in becoming the person God created you to be. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time on the Discover Podcast.